top 5 plugins. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do like top 5 most used plugins that I use? And then why don't we look at some weirdo plugins that are just kind of fun, you know, that maybe I don't use a ton, but do really cool stuff, like that vocal processor I was talking about. So I talked about Channel Strip. I think it's a great all-in-one plugin. It really does sound good, and it has sounded good for a very long time. The stuff that I use the most other than that is FabFilter is a phenomenal EQ. It sounds really good. It's easily the best user interface of any EQ. Like, it's phenomenal. And I actually set up, this is my template. So I actually set up this template where we're always getting rid of muck. I know I'm gonna start there, so it's just there. This is my low mid booster cut. That's gonna fix your 300 stuff, your low mid range muck. This is a tilt filter, and a lot of times you'll be trying to get stuff fitting in the mix, and you'll just be like, if that was just a little brighter or a little more low end, then it's just this. And it's like, if it's shakers, you can do that. If it's shakers, you can do that. And if you want to make it a little less bright and then this is too much, you just go over here and grab this and, you adjust that really quick. This right here is a little 1.8K boost. This is what makes vocals pop out. So sometimes when you're near the end of the mix and you're like, man, I need a little more clarity on the vocal, just turn that on, give it a little tweak. It's a good frequency for that. Works most of the time. This is my high boost and cut, right? This is a shelf, because a lot of times you're gonna end up doing this. And I tell you what, this is the 3 dB scale. You would be surprised how many times I'm doing this. And that's 30 dB a gain, right? Now, a lot of times it's all the way up here, or you bring it and you find out where it works and come back down, but it is not unusual to put tons and tons of gain. Use extreme EQ settings. No one's gonna get mad at you. Just try it and see what happens. Then up here is my low pass, where you're gonna get rid of muck, or if you're doing, if you've got guitars that are mid-rangey, you don't need anything above 15K on a guitar. Leave that space for something else. Like, go ahead and use this to focus in on a sound, and then use this to make it poke out. And that's going to give you more room in your mix than if you have 50 elements in the mix and they all have all the low end and they all have all the high end and all of this stuff. It's just going to get messy. People make plugins now that look for that and kind of dynamically duck it. And I'm sure that's super cool, but you can do it right now just preventively by looking at instruments like that. You can see it. I mean, this is on kick drum, so it's not particularly informative. But this right here, this, don't need it, probably. If the kick drum's ticky and you want less tick, you can do that. This could take out some stuff right here, or if you find a resonance in here, you can just identify it and get rid of it. If there's a peak that you don't like, you can grab that. And then the whole thing needs a little more, kick needs a little more bass, kick needs a little more treble, you can balance it with that. It's just a super fast, great EQ. I love that plugin. And I use it a ton. I'm just gonna skip around to some weird stuff. Let's see, what else do I use a lot? Saturn ends up on every mix, mainly because it's on bass, but it's really great for just about anything. I think this is another FabFilter plugin, and it's really cool for just tone shaping. U.A.D is everywhere. I use it a ton. This is an old trick that I've talked about before on acoustics, of which this song has one. But the trick is giving something a little bit of sparkle by filtering out high end and then adding it back in with the equalizer. I used to do this on the console, and it still works on this. It's a different character than it is not using the filter and just EQing. This also works really well on SSL type plugins. This is one of the secrets of the 4000 is that you would be using the high and low filters and then EQing into them, taking high end out and then EQing back in. It just gives you a different curve. Same thing as on a Pultec when you do the boost and the cut at the same time. It just gives you a different curve. I use tons of U.A.D stuff. It's super cool. And a lot of character to it. Let's see what else. Yeah, more U.A.D stuff. True Iron. I think True Iron is miraculous on vocals. I've actually started using it for effects returns and parallels and stuff like that when you want to put a little bit of character. I like doing effects returns where I'm bandwidth limiting it, putting a little distortion on it. It tends to like sit underneath a vocal or underneath a guitar better, and there's less competing frequencies. And I don't have it on this session. But speaking of competing frequencies, this plugin is a miracle. Soothe. It is really, really great for fixing resonant problems. You can really dial into some really specific de-essing, and there's some fun stuff you can do with Soothe on other stuff like, I'll see if I can do a quick example, like overheads. These are not harsh, but when they are harsh, you can chill them out by doing this, and this is kind of abusing Soothe. You can hear what it does to the top end. If you dime these, it does distortion. It basically starts to distort it because it's turning down all these frequencies and it's doing it too fast. But try that on drum loops, right? To change the character of it, and you can mess around with where you want the distortion to happen and everything. But this is kind of a outside the box use for this plugin. I use this plugin all the time. It's great for fixing vocal problems. It's great for fixing acoustic guitar resonances, electric guitars that have one thing that pops out, stuff like that. It's super, super cool. What else? Plugin Alliance has a bunch of stuff that I can't even keep up with how many things that they have. But like the one that I showed you, this thing, again, you know, somebody message me online and tell me how to use this thing, because I really have no idea. But I really like the way it sounds. So, you know, I just fool with it. And sometimes, you know, turning this on, which I'm sure is a bad idea, sounds really cool on vocals. Some vocals it's terrible on, some vocals it sounds really cool. Let's see, what else? This thing, Soundtoys is, you know, I'm pretty sure you could mix an entire record with Channel Strip and Echo Boy. Soundtoys has a lot of really great stuff. This thing's really fun. As you saw, I was using it to manipulate stuff, high octave, low octave, and just blending it in, running into a reverb, making like really weird sounds with it, and then using that as a backdrop to normal stuff. That's really cool. Guys like this, the Valhalla stuff all seems to be great. And again, this is an older song, so I've been messing around with some really fun stuff that's come out recently. Let me see if I can find a few of them. This thing's really cool. Put some character into stuff. Their other thing that they have, or that I have of theirs, is really fun. For putting character into things, I would try running vocals through this. Mess around with the NR comp. I've got a couple of presets where it sounds really good on a vocal. And again, everything is dependent on the vocalist. So let's see how she sounds.
I hear the world screaming out your name.
Let's see how she sounds with this.
But not for reasons of love or fame. I hear the world screaming out your name.
It's pretty cool.
but not for reasons of love or fame.
Right? Most people won't think about using stuff like that. I also use this. This one's rare. I use this all the time. It's French, and it's just it's a filter. But there's a subtle character to it that I really like.
I hear the world screaming out your name.
And I love the interface for it. Like, it's really easy to use.
Reasons of love or fame.
So that's really fun.
Where'd you go?
There's a plugin that I really like that's a delay. And we'll see if it does it, because this, I think the new version of Pro Tools doesn't like this thing very much.
I hear the world screaming out your name.
This is an Oilcan delay, of which I've got some. There's one right over there, which is actually a cylinder full of oil that Fender made that would make a kind of really weird delay. But this plugin is super cool. I don't know if they're still updating it, so you have to be careful on your program. You have to be careful in Pro Tools or whatever DAW you're using, whether it's gonna still be compatible. I've had some problems with it crashing. I don't know that they've updated it since 2017, which can be a problem. Let's see what else. Baby Audio has some really cool things. On this song, probably on keyboards, but
I hear the world scream out your name.
This is really fun to do fun shit with.
But not for reasons of love or fame. Where did you go?
Really, really cool plugin. As you can see, I have a lot, and I don't think you need a ton, but there's stuff in here that's really fun. I mean, the Distressor plugin is great, although, Dave, you need to do British mode, man. Cable Guy's Shaper Box is really cool if you like doing enveloping. I have a lot of fun with that. Crane Song's Pheonix sounds great. That ends up getting used a lot as well.
I hear the world screaming out your name.
On her, probably do something like this.
But not for reasons of love or fame.
Just gives you some presence, some analog thing. If you've got a vocal that's too SE, crank it up on Dark Essence and it'll actually kind of de-ess it as it gives you a process. I mean, we could go on forever and ever and ever with this stuff, and I'm not going to, but if you have any questions or whatever, just hit me up on the inner tubes, and we can yak about that. I'll tell you what else is really cool though, is these plugins on snare are really fun. That's really cool, and this one is really fun too. That's fun on loops, but this thing, just a little bit. Maybe add a little clip too. Maybe add a little clip after. Nice pop on it, like that's a fun trick. I mean, the beauty about all of this is it's about experimentation. I remember Michael Brower was talking a long time ago about he would just experiment as he was mixing, and he would find things. And when you find it and you're like, oh, that's a really cool sound, save it. Save it as an insert, just if you're in Pro Tools, just save it as a track preset, put it in a folder like labeled things to try, cool vocal thing, whatever. And then when you're stuck on something, or you're like, man, I don't know why the backgrounds aren't feeling right, go to that folder and pull up some weird things and try them. And one of them is gonna probably inspire you to do something, or just be the perfect thing that is going to work for that thing. Like that's constantly trying to improve and constantly trying to figure out new stuff is going to keep making you better. Don't make assumptions. Don't try and not stay stuck. Like try and work really hard to do new things. And trust me, it's hard when you get really busy. It's hard to, sometimes it's hard to put the energy into like, well, maybe this could be better. It's like, no, it sounds fine. It's just, it's really hard to be like, no, I don't want it to sound fine. I want it to sound great. And I'm just going to keep pushing. And sometimes you go overboard. Like I said earlier, like if you're not getting criticized, if you're not getting pushed back on stuff, if you're occasionally not even getting fired, it's like you're not trying hard enough. Like try and push the envelope and try stuff. And some people get offended, but the people who are really in this to make great music, the people who are really trying to make something great will appreciate the effort that you put into it. And even if they don't like it, like on this song, there was some stuff that Jillian and Warren didn't like. It's fine, we just shut it off, like no big deal. But it was worth a try. And even if they don't like what I do, something that I do might make them realize, oh, you know what? Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should try that. Or yeah, maybe you're right. They'll come back later and say, maybe you're right. Maybe the intro was too long. Let's take 4 bars out of it for the radio single or for an alternate single. It's like, yeah, that's fine. But if you don't try it, those ideas don't happen. The free exchange of ideas, either inside of yourself or with your other collaborators, is going to make a huge difference on the final product. And it's going to make a huge difference on perception, because every artist, every producer, everyone wants to know that you want their stuff to be as great as possible. And if you're trying really hard to make it great, they're going to notice that, even if they don't like it. Even if you end up losing all of that stuff, they know you went to the extra mile. You went the extra mile to try and make something awesome, and that sets you apart. So that's a really good thing. Be respectful, obviously. Believe in yourself and push forward on that stuff, and you might discover like really, really cool things. Like that's how you find stuff that you wouldn't have found normally. Try really hard to get rid of assumptions. And you know what? You'll keep growing, and it's amazing. Like it's so fun. I mean, we have the best job in the world, right? We get paid to listen to music. It is amazing. So appreciate that, and that'll help you through the difficult stuff and the ego bruising stuff, and hopefully you'll be able to get in a really great creative zone every day and be able to keep doing this, because it is completely awesome. And not everybody gets a studio like this. I mean, I've been doing this for a fairly long time, and I get really lucky to have this stuff, but I'll tell you this, and this is something we may talk about in a later video, and it's something that you can follow me online and do. Like, I'm gonna rearrange this whole studio. We're gonna take it apart and move it into pieces, and this console is probably gonna go, and we're gonna start digging into Atmos and immersive audio, as well as some other stuff, and some mastering, and just kind of push forward, because that's how you learn, that's how you grow, is by pushing forward. And it's super scary, right? I've been doing this a long time. I've got all this cool shit. Like, it's scary to think about, well, maybe I'm gonna remake it. But if if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So I gotta push ahead. I gotta try some new stuff. I'm scared and excited, and that's fine. But that's gonna help me be a better mixer, be a better producer, hopefully be a better human, and continue to teach myself that pushing past assumptions and pushing through fear and doing things that are uncomfortable is a really great way to discover new stuff and get better at your craft, and enjoy your life, whether it's in the studio or out. This is so much fun. It's so great to be here, and I'm honored to be a part of ProMix Academy. I mean, it's an incredible resource. There's so much great stuff going on. There's so much you can learn in such a short time. It's really amazing. So I just wanted to say thank you, Warren. It's marvelous. ProMix Academy is killer, and I really feel honored to be a part of the team. Thank you very much. And you guys, if you need me, you can come find me through Warren on the internet. Go ahead and Google my name, Google Robot Lemon. You'll find the studio, and I'm always up for a chat or an argument or whatever. So thank you very much. Have a good one.